Okay, so this is true experiment time, okay? So, um, we all know that I already planted my garlic. We got that out, let's see, over the weekend, yeah. So, I told you in that video that I don't soak garlic, but then I knew that I had two more kinds of garlic coming, and I wanted to see if I got a little bit of a different result in doing, I don't know, um, soaking versus non-soaking, and that be the only difference in the controlled environment. So let's see what we're gonna do. So I saw a couple things online and doing some research, and don't mind me over here. I've got some seeds that are drying out. Um, but essentially is that you soak the garlic for like 10 minutes in peroxide alcohol, like vodka or something, just to make sure that it doesn't have any kind of bad bacteria on it, which we already did. And then you do a solution of water, baking soda, and some type of liquid fertilizer. I have fish emulsion, so that's what I'm going to use. You could use Kent meal, what have you. I'm eyeballing it, but the essential ratio is like half a gallon to like a tablespoon, or a gallon to a, you get what I'm saying. So we're gonna do that now. I have some music garlic and some elephant garlic, and these are just, some Chinese food containers. You know how we do. So I'm just eyeballing it. I'm not trying to be uber precise here. That. Oh shoot, I had this outside. It does not want to come through. Hold on, let me get something for that. And after a little off camera shake and bake, smelly stuff now comes out. So let me get this all mixed up. We'll get those soaked. And the principle is that we're going to leave this like this for maybe, I'm working right now. It says about 30 minutes up until 24 to 48 hours, and everyone's varying. I'm going to do just a few hours. So I get off, it's like 8:30ish now. So these will soak until I get off, maybe about 4 o'clock, and we'll go out and plant it outside. And then we'll just have a little garden talk. How about that? Ugh, this smells delicious. Not. I think we're pretty good. So fill her up. Hey, Wasabi, welcome back to Algin Gardens. As you can see, we still got things growing, and I'm loving it. Little aerial view. And we are taking it a little bit at a time. Got the sprinkler going. So I just wanted to talk to you. We're doing a little experimentation. The garlic soak is in effect. I decided to do a full 24 hours. So I'll plant those the same way that I planted the other ones. Once I finish the soak, I'll discard all of that solution and plop them into the beds that we have going. And I kind of just wanted to say and show you
how I think this may be a decent experiment, though I should have thought of it from the beginning so that the planting time could be the exact same, but I digress. But we're gonna try it. That's the whole fun of this. I'm out here. I just finished doing some fertilizer for some of the greens we got. So hold on a second. So we've got some broccoli that got some much needed fertilizer. Gave some to the kale, to the collards over here, and the ones in that bed over there. And we just kind of watered everything in, need a little bit just to kind of kick them back into gear somewhat, but just wanted to show you. More collard greens over there. We're letting the loofah dry out a little bit. And yeah, peppers that we got to pick all over the place. And we're going to get to it, I promise. Okra is still growing. And as you can see, there is plentiful marigolds. Someone asked me in the comments or stated that I should talk about why I leave or why I left this marigold in the ground rather than just pull it. And the easiest explanation, A, is because it's still growing. B, is because at the end of the season, what better place than to get more seeds so I don't buy any more marigolds. I haven't in probably 2 years now. All of these flowers, once this plant begins to die, they're going to give me seeds that I can then replant and I can have marigolds for days. I also participate in a lot of seed swaps and I just give them away, to be quite honest. So I don't need to buy seeds. Now, let me say this. It's not that I don't anymore. I don't need to. So let me show you a couple things like this. This one, or this marigold in particular, is just about fully spent. There's a couple of green branches still on here that are still flowering, and they're still feeding, and butterflies, and as you can see, bees. So we're still feeding them, giving them a place to hang out. So we won't take them out until they're completely gone. Also, the marigolds help deter some of the other pests and bugs that don't like the smell of marigolds, which is why I have so many of them in the bed in the first place. I really don't do any other type of pest control. I don't spray. I don't use any chemicals in my garden. So having lots of marigolds, lots of flowers that attract beneficial bugs is kind of the way I go. I do pretty much organic growing here. But all of these here will become new marigolds. Sometimes I'll just take the pods and I'll just plop them right here, which is how these actually came to be. I just plopped them in there, and then once springtime came, they grew just in place where they are. Some of them are from some I grew over there, and then once they grew up, I just moved them here. So I really don't even seed start the marigolds. I just leave them out here. And once spring comes, I already have some growing up, and the ones that I have the pods that I'm going to save for, they come up on their own. A couple other things too is I invite them to kind of die off without pulling them, so that I end up with less soil being pulled up with the roots. The easiest way I can show you is if I pull this right now, because of the roots still having some life in them, they're still clinging to the soil, they're still interwoven, they haven't broken down at all. So a lot of dirt would come up with it, meaning you got to shake off a lot. It's a lot. Whereas once this completely dies down, I will cut down this. Instead of pulling it, I'll cut it down to right about soil level. And then over winter, because I lay a layer of wood chips or mulch or whatever I have on hand, straw, whatever I have on hand, it will actually, I want to say, what's the word I'm looking for? It'll actually compost in place. It'll actually kind of just leave me with no roots at all. It's easy to pull up if there's anything that has not gone back into the soil itself. So it's adding natural nutrients into the soil, breaking those plant roots and everything down. So it's leaving the soil intact without too much movement or anything to it. So I really don't have to worry about a lot of nutrients being placed back into my soil, because they're getting it from the old plants that are decaying and being just turned over into the soil that's in place. So that helps with nutrients, also helps not disturb any of the bug life that's going to overwinter in the garden, except for maybe like the stink buds and those things. We don't really like them, but it's kind of like the best way that I've found in my garden has thrived. If you notice, everything in here I didn't do, if I can just pan out a little bit, besides the initial fertilizer that I used in the beginning of spring, or when I actually did plantings and I put some in the hole where I planted a particular plant or transplant. Like my peppers, for instance, I have not fertilized them all year besides that initial one, because I left a lot of the plants that grew. I just cut them to the stem and let them biodegrade themselves. So they didn't get any fish fertilizer. They didn't get any water soluble. I didn't do any of that, and they grew prolifically on their own. And I will say this has probably been the best I've gotten all of my peppers to grow, hot peppers and my sweet bell peppers included. Also, with them dying out, like this particular ground cherry, a lot of this died. So this plant, I never planted this. This is from last year. This plant died here. All I did was cut the stem out, but some of the fruit fell, so it reseeded itself. So that's kind of, with the sprinkler going, that's kind of what I do. I let things reseed itself. Volunteers come up all throughout the garden, and I love it. Like this cinnamon basil in particular, and I hope I'm not moving the camera too much, but this cinnamon basil in particular, this is regrowing on its own from 2 years ago, actually. And I let it flower itself. It's going to seed now. I'm letting it go to seed, some of it. I'm gonna harvest some, but if I'm not ready for it to go to seed, I could just pluck, some of this. But the parts that are flowering, I let this die out here. These are where your seeds are going to be for basil. I just let this shake off right here. This same basil or type of basil will grow right back in the same spot next year. And it's no extra work that I had to do. Trying to think, is that all about why I leave them? Yeah. Oh man, that basil smells so good. Cinnamon basil. It tastes so good in teas. I cook with it. I can't even explain. But that pretty much is, why I tend to leave the plants in place and just kind of work around it when I'm doing something for the fall season. I just let it plant itself. I let it grow itself. So, like I said, we've got everything watered in for the day. Let everything kind of go. If you notice, it's fall here, but we are going through temperatures that are reaching 80s this week. And if I had pulled this, I would have missed out on getting this extra tomato. So these are all little things. I'm not planting anything over here yet. This may end up being the onion bed. May. Or May, yeah, because I do want to bring this soil level up a little bit in this bed, but we got burdock, we got leeks, we got some beets that need to come out soon. Little beet hanging out, couple beets hanging out. So yeah. So now back to the garden challenge or the experiment I'm doing with the garlic. So if you notice these two beds, these are kind of this, they mirror each other in how they've grown, how they were built. So all of this is pretty much the same. Celery is looking good. So in that far bed, I did put some elephant garlic that I already had. I have a couple more that I'm soaking now, so I'll put them in here. So this will be a great test of whether or not I have, or whether or not we can tell once they grow if I get bigger bulbs based on the soaking method. So I figured this would be a great experiment using the elephant garlic and the music garlic. And maybe I'll do the music garlic in that bed. Maybe. Yeah. So, take you around a little bit more. I got some mustard greens that are growing out. Look at this sucker. This is why you come check your garden. Out of here, bud. Carrots look good. Some more leeks. Onions over here. Yeah. And it's crazy because this is growing more peppers. This is wild. This is wild. All right, so we're back. Obviously, I waited a little bit longer. It's probably about a full 24 hours for our experiment. So what I'm going to do is I am in, let's see, just so you know, I am in, so in that bed up there, I already planted some elephant garlic. So what I'm going to do is back here, I'm going to plant in this bed the garlic that I soaked overnight in that solution so that we can kind of have a good idea of what is, I guess, a true experiment where, you know, the beds are pretty much the same exact nutrients, maybe a little bit more growing going on this bed right now, but obviously, like, I do the same thing over and over. So I am just going to take this and kind of work myself around, get some of these extra covers around some of my plants that are growing, and I'm going to just intermingle the garlic all throughout this bed. Intermingle. So I'm just, anything that's growing that really, you know, just kind of would take over. Just gonna get it out the way. Make sure I don't disturb what I meant to grow. And trust me, I'm not being precise. The little ones, as long as they don't become big, and actually it'll help during the winter if it's covered. So I'm okay with that. Just be careful of some of the onions that are growing up on their own still. But let's get us a good surface area to work with. Oh shoot, I think that was some of my, oh well. It might have been something that's self-seeded. That's okay. We'll get in there. Whoop. Take out my dibbler. See my little red mustard greens coming? These things get huge and I love to eat them. I know some people cook them. I don't know if I like mustard greens cooked. I like them, dang it. I like them in my salads. I like eating them raw. The pepperiness of them is just absolutely delicious. Absolutely delicious. So, for instance, this is a Florida mustard green. This is a red mustard green. So I'm just gonna come in here. This is probably my ori. Better one for this. These have been soaked, drained. Let's get them in. This is probably why in my video I said, oh, 4, 3, 2, 1. Because depending on the size of the cloves, going 2 inches deep, you're not even covering the whole clove. So there you go. The depth of my hole is based on size of the clove. Got that in and covered. And again, this whole bed will be mulch sown. The carrots, love the carrots if you can see them. Those carrots, I like leaving my carrots in. I don't pluck them all at once because my philosophy is, first of all, carrots love the cold. They get sweeter colder they stay in, the longer they stay in during colder temperatures. And I like the idea of that. So I will not be pulling that out. I'll take that out as, take a carrot out as I need it kind of thing. Let's see. I think we can get another one over here. Oh, this soil is so rich. Love it. How about I bring you closer? Hold on a sec. Remember, pointy side up. Got it in good. Covering that up. Think maybe I can sneak one in this corner. That in there, and I'll be sure to, got like 3 more cloves of the elephant garlic, and then I got a bunch of this music garlic that I'm going to intersperse all over the place. So got some work to do. I'm going to get it all in that side of the bed up there, and we should be all set. Real quick, I just realized as I'm going through, like, this is probably a really good example of what I was talking about leaving some of my plants, even though they've died, I still leave them in here. So if you look at this, this is a tomato plant that is clearly, it is all the way spent, right? But if you notice, it's not easily that I can pull it, right? So rather than pull it, what I'll do is I'm going to cut it here so that when it's completely decayed, it's easy pull, which means that I'm not taking as much soil out with it as I normally would. So you see what I mean by self-seeding? Like I got mustard greens just in my walkway. Mustard greens hanging out in the walkway. Yep.
Okay, family. So, I don't know how I forgot this one big, huge reason why I don't pull up everything. Some of the things that I'm growing are perennials, meaning they're going to come back on their own next year without me having to intervene, without me doing anything. Maybe I'll top dress them with some fertilizer come spring, but other than that, I do nothing else for them except for cut down these woody branches. This happens to be some spent Shasta daisies that every spring, I've had these for 4 years now, every spring they come up on their own without me doing anything. So I don't pull these. I cut them at the base, close to the dirt, close to the soil, and they will begin to, as the weather warms up, all of that jazz, they'll come up on their own. Hold on, I'm going to show you. So if you look right in there, this is one of the main reasons why I don't just pull everything that is dying or is dead in the garden. These are my Shasta daisies. If you look, the big leaf is the comfrey next to it. But if you look in there, that's going to be Shasta daisies. And it's warm right now, so they're starting to come back. And they'll do fine over the winter, no problem here. But if you look at it, some of it, this whole section, let me come out a little bit. This whole section is all Shasta daisies. The wooded parts are just daisy stems that are spent, did their whole cycle. And now what I'll do is I will come through and just cut them down at the base. I don't pull them though. I just leave them, and come the spring, they'll start growing up on this whole side. So this whole corner right here will end up being a whole corner, 1/4 of the bed, or almost half of the bed now, will end up being Shasta daisies. So early flowers that'll start bringing in beneficial insects, bees, pollinators, of the like. And I didn't do anything but plant them 4 years ago.
Cool. So I think that's about all I could think of concerning why I leave flowers and things out to dry out here. It's nature's best drying rack for your seeds. And I'm all about saving seeds. Why buy seeds when you can create your own? You already know where they are. So those seeds are acclimated to your environment already. So they should be growing next round even a little bit better. I have no problem with volunteer plants coming up for me. As you saw, mustard greens in abundance, and I'm here for it. I didn't even have to think about it, so now it makes me not feel as bad that a dog that I don't even own came in and got into some of my garden beds here. Yeah, so I forgot to add some radish to the garden. I don't know how I forgot radish. Of all of the things that I have planted, I plopped out some radish today, or I'm getting ready to get some radish. And I have these purple plums. I got some watermelon radish that take about 60 days, but I'm gonna try. And I got some of these French breakfasts that I put out. I also laid out some arugula, some Mizuna, and some endive. As well as I've got in the green stalk, I planted some seeds of tatsoi, bok choy, a lot of choys. So we're just getting our greens on, turning it over slowly but surely into our fall garden slash winter garden, because a lot of those things here in Zone 7B will continue to grow throughout the winter. My lettuces are in, they're starting to sprout. I got a little bit of a late start, but we're going to see what we can come up with. And yeah, look at this sucker hanging out here. looking to eat up my junk. You see? And this is why you come out to your garden. Not so fast, buddy. Not my Brox. So yeah, I'm gonna poke around now that I see one. I'm gonna poke around the garden. That's probably from that dreaded white fly. I'm gonna poke around here, take a look at my leaves. Yeah, he's been eating heavy off of this one. And just make sure I don't see any more. But that's kind of it for the day. Hope you enjoyed. We'll see you soon. We've got onions and potatoes next.